How you all doing, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? So welcome. So let's talk about the transfers that transpired this month. Apologies for the lack of videos this month, especially, of course, since it is the transfer window. But I've been away and in hospital, so on and so forth. But yeah, I wanted to talk about the transfers that have happened this month, obviously starting with the Daily Blind news and then moving on to the news that obviously came today/yesterday with Cancelo joining as well and Sabitzer leaving Bayern. So let's get started with the Daily Blind news. I'm very happy about that transfer. I'll be honest, very much like it. I think Davis needs serious competition. I don't think he's been good since 2020. I think like when we won the treble, that was like his last great season, and since then he's been like declining quite a lot, honestly. So I want him to get some competition to like get back to those levels, you know, get back to that point where you can confidently say, oh yeah, you know, Davis is at his best. So sort of that's kind of my perspective. I always want competition. I always want good competition. So having a good competition for that left wing back role is obviously very healthy, and that's why I'm very happy with the Daily Blind transfer. Is he going to get many minutes? I mean, he did really well in obviously during the what you call it, the friendly games that we had. Then of course doesn't get a single minute again. That's kind of typical of Nagelsmann, but I'm not gonna say anything about that. Moving on, news that came out yesterday, and it's kind of in the same vein as the Daily Blind one. You know, competition for a right back position, and that is with us signing Cancelo from Manchester City. Honestly, one of the best players in the Premier League last season, and I read an article today, I think it was The Athletic, that said like when he's happy, he is the best of the best. But when he is like emotionally unstable or when he's like unhappy, you know, he will show his frustration and it will show with his performances. But when he's like when he plays at his absolute best, I don't think there's any right back and any fullback actually. Let me correct myself here. I don't think there's any fullback in world football that is better. So I'm very happy about this signing. Obviously, Pavard is likely to leave. I mean, there are rumors today that I think it was Inter were after him and Bayern rejected that. And then you've got Mazraoui, who obviously is out indefinitely due to his, I think it was the corona situation and whatnot, that he picked up with his national team. So you have a little of these like things going on at the moment where like having another right back with Pavard leaving especially are going to be very beneficial. And with Pavard's performances, I mean, and haven't been awful, but they haven't been, you know, amazing. Mazraoui is also like taking time to like find himself as well. He's had some very good performances and also had some relatively mediocre performances, but that's kind of what's, you know, that kind of comes with the territory of joining a new club. But I'm very happy about this transfer, personally. Very happy. It's a loan with a 70 million obligation. I know people are saying that, not obligation, 70 million option. 70 smackaroonies, my goodness. But when you think about it, defense is the one aspect where we do spend a lot of money on. Like truly, it's one of the few aspects where we truly spend a lot of money on. You know, you look at Upamecano, you look at De Ligt, now you look at Cancelo, and we all know he's a favourite of Nagelsmann, and obviously Salihamidzic came out today during a press conference and basically said that we've been following him and talking to him a lot over the years, so clearly, you know, he's been a long-term target. So I do think the club will actually, like depending on, obviously, if he has a complete stinker, then no, but I do think the club will actually like seriously consider the option of paying us 70 smackaroonies. Now, of course, you know, that may be negotiated down, maybe 60 smackaroonies or 50 smackaroonies, but whatever it is, I do think that like whatever the fee is, I do think we've shown a clear sign over the last couple of years, you know, especially like the post-Uli Hoeneß, post-Rummenigge era, that like we are willing to spend a significant amount of money. Obviously, we had the COVID years in between, but now that we are sort of like out of those, we are willing to kind of like spend those serious macaroonies. So I think it's a very likely and very valid option. And I do think that like there is a very, it's very likely for us to pull the option unless he has like an absolute stinker over the next couple of months. Now, next up, news came out today, Sabitzer leaving for Manchester United. I'm a little bit disappointed, not in Sabitzer, honestly, in the coach. I think the kid has been, like, every time he's played, he's been good. And my issue is that, like, how do I phrase this without coming across as nasty? Should I just come across as nasty? You know what? I'll come across as nasty. There's clear nepotism going on here. Clear favoritism going on here at the club. Because, like, Sabitzer, when the season started and Goretzka was injured, Sabitzer came in, played week in, week out. He looked very good. Like Kimmich, Sabitzer looked very good. Like, they looked decent, took a little bit to find himself, and then they just looked superb. Goretzka comes back from injury, immediately plays. Drops stinker after stinker, still plays. Gravenberg plays the DFB Pokal game, drops like a 10 out of 10, gets benched, doesn't play again, doesn't start ever. Hasn't had a single start so far this season. Like actual start from the beginning in the Bundesliga. And again, Sabitzer basically, once Goretzka came back, Sabitzer, you know that Toy Story meme of, I don't want to play with you anymore. That was basically Sabitzer. Once Goretzka came back, even it didn't matter about performances. It was like, I don't want to play with you anymore, and just dropped. So I feel sorry for Sabitzer, and obviously with Lima coming in as well during the summer, it's like, okay, yeah, I totally understand you're leaving, and it's not even because of performances, because he showed performances whenever he played. Were they world class like all the time? No. Were they decent? Yeah, sure. So I do feel sorry for Sabitzer. My hope is that we start going back, and I know Nagelsmann isn't going to do that because he's clearly not shown to do that at all. But my hope for this season, because there were rumors at the end of last season that there's going to be a new training principle. If you train well, then you get points, and based on those points, those are the players that are going to start. None of that nonsense. It's the same lineup week in, week out, basically. Besides, the attackers, because the attackers are all equally bad for the most part so far this season. So, it's like you're just playing Russian roulette there. But, yeah, I totally understand Sabitzer leaving. Unfortunately, I totally understand him leaving. I would have liked him to stay. Now, will Gravenberg get more minutes? Only if Goretzka is injured. And even then, Nagelsmann will be like, Musiala will play there instead. So I have issues. I have a lot of issues this season with the coaching staff, with the mismanagement of players. But I feel like that deserves its own 5-hour long discussion. And as I said, I've just gotten back out of the hospital, so we'll see how things pan out over the next couple of days, weeks. Once I feel better, we might start bringing back the discussion, so on and so forth. But that's just my overall thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. Just my overall viewpoints and thoughts about the transfers. Let me know what you all think on the transfer. And again, I think Salihamidzic, Brazo, he's fulfilling every single desire and every single wish that Nagelsmann has had. And we'll leave it at that. I will leave it at that. We'll leave it at I don't think there's ever been a manager at Bayern that's ever had all their wishes fulfilled. You think back on you think back to the start of our dominance, which a lot of people would say the 2013. I would say it's 2012. Realistically, I think 2012 was the start of our decade-long dominance, right? You think back to that. Jupp Heynckes, he had to beg, literally beg for Javi Martinez. He had to outright just be out there beg we would have won the Champions League if we had Javi Martinez in our squad. He's 40 million, but he's gonna be worth it in a Champions League. And obviously he got Javi Martinez at the end. But the way he had to beg in public, in the media, in press conferences week in, week out, he's like, oh please, I want to, please. It was crazy. Then you get to Pep Guardiola. Literally his condition for signing for Bayern was, you bring me Neymar. Bayern was like, nope, that's not happening. But here's Mario Götze. They obviously got him Thiago. Woohoo! But then he was like, I want X, Y, and Z. I can't even remember the players that he wanted, but he wanted certain players. We were like, nope. He wanted Toni Kroos to stay. He was the club was like, nope, we're not paying him that kind of money. We're not paying him the same as Götze, despite the fact that he's been showing performances week in, week out for us, become one of the most important players in a squad. we're not paying him the same as Götze. And then Toni Kroos was like, okay, I'm gone. Pep, obviously, that started the whole feud with Pep, and we got Xabi Alonso, but like, again, kind of going against the manager's wishes in that aspect. The one player that I can say that we got that was like a Pep player was obviously Thiago, but then we got Vidal, who wasn't their Pep player. You know, just a lot of like little things like that. We got, you know, who was it back then? Was it Rudi or was it Rode? Can't remember. It's been Visa. Yeah, like basically just had to make do with what we had basically back then, which is kind of funny because that was still part. You know, we were still so dominant. You know, you look at our squad and it just gets better and better each season. I mean, we continue with the managers. None of them got like all their wishes. This is like the first time that I can remember that, like maybe the first time ever actually. Because I'm trying to think of like when I started following like football / well, more so football is iffy. Bayern I know a lot more like certain. When I started watching more consistently, it was the 2001 final. I didn't really care about football back then. I cared about like Oliver Kahn and Sami Kufa. Like that's literally the two players that I cared about. But like 2001 final, I remember watching that with my neighbors, and essentially, obviously, you know, that whole thing. Even I saw like even not really, but like a little remember like 1999. But like 2001, I remember that very clearly because I was watching it with my neighbors. I didn't care about football. Like I was one of those people that played football from like a very early age. I think I was joined like a football club when I was like 4 or 5 or something, like very very early on. But like I didn't watch football. But I remember like that very clearly, and I don't know. From then on, I didn't really follow the club that much, but I did keep up, if that makes sense. And since like from then on, like I would say probably like the turning point for me really was like 2006, because you know World Cup in Germany. Ooh, it was a big deal, like a massive deal. I've never seen like everyone from like my area, everyone just come together supporting Germany, because usually national team nobody gives a flip, right? But like that was like the year where just everybody just came together. So that's kind of what really got me into football, you could say. And since then, I can't remember any manager ever at Bayern getting all their wishes fulfilled. So to me, it's like the club has given everything, truly everything to Nagelsmann. They've given him the keys to the palace. And we'll leave it at that. I don't want this to turn into like a rant. Oh. Not yet. Not yet. The season is still young. Let's not say anything. All right. Let's not say anything. But anyway, I will see all of you in the next one. Everyone, let me know what you all think about the transfers, and I'll see you all then. Peace out. Have a nice day, and bye.